You're listening to The KYLO Show, the podcast where we talk about how to keep your love on no matter what and why whole healthy families are going to save the world. And it starts right now.
Hello and welcome to The KYLO Show. We are still continuing our conversation around kind of prioritizing the right relationships and really what that looks like. And we went through prioritizing our relationship with God and ourself. And now we're on to the others, which we're kind of focusing a little bit on family.
Yeah. Or just others in general. But how do we take care of our priority relationships in 2024? And how do we build a plan around all that? And,
I guess it could be who you call family, really. Something like that.
Yeah. Who's your family?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's that? So what does that look like to prioritize those relationships? What does it look like to kind of do a good job of looking at, how last year went and hopeful for this year and, stewarding that well, investing in, staying true to self. We talked about that last time. And I think that's a big thing when you've got, other people in your life. Is it usually the reason why staying true to yourself was so important is because we give away a yes we didn't want to give away. Mm-hmm. So just as much as you're doing that, they're probably doing that too. And kind of the check-in of what does it look like to have those healthy relationships in our life?
Yeah, I think the series design has been, get your connection with God right so that there is truth and true identity and love and all the resources that you need pouring into you. Mm-hmm. Then be sure that your connection to yourself is solid and true so that you're now a conduit of that good stuff. Mm-hmm. And now here we go. Targets are us. Okay, we have a target-rich environment. We are now looking around us, and we are saying, "I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you," and it is bearing fruit because my connection to God, my connection to my own heart, and now you are the beneficiary of this rainbird that's just, just being able to be a good distributor of really good stuff.
Is it like we want these people to be the overflow of the goodness that's showing up in our life?
We want all these people to benefit from watch over your heart, for from it all the issues of your life are going to hit everybody around you. Whether you like what you're seeing or not, it's coming from the stewarding of your own heart.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Totally. So, and the wild thing is that, those relationships in your life, they're not probably going anywhere and they're full of different people, different personalities, different styles of communication, different needs. There's a lot when we talk about the others portion. There's a lot that can be covered there. And
this is where boundaries and everybody shows up, right?
Totally. And this is where the scary conversations come. This is where those really intimate exchanges where you get to be seen and known. There's so much good that comes from this, but there's also so much potential friction of I see the world differently than you, and I don't know how to see the world like you see it. So I don't know how to prioritize it. I don't know how to protect it. I'm afraid of it, or I'm overwhelmed by it, or what is it? So how do we nurture and keep those intimate relationships close, but without denying what we need or over promising or resenting or not setting a boundary or getting ourselves in a pickle? Because I think that's where others get so messy, because there's people involved.
And it's like sorting out a giant project that you're going to tackle. You have to start with the right things. You can't just throw a match. You're going to have to we're going to start with these priorities. And in your personal life, you have to have priority relationships. You have to have a most intimate relationship. Who is that? Obviously, the most intimate is your relationship with Jesus. But there's a person, there's a people on the planet, somebody that you're going to have a most intimate connection with. Who is that? And I think for a single person, it could change with proximity or just with the other person's cooperation in that priority. But it could be a parent, it could be a sibling, it could be somebody that you've just spent a lot of time and vulnerability with, and they are your go-to. When you in a crisis, who do you call? When you are in pain, who do you call? If you have a really great opportunity, who do you call? It's going to be the same person. So there's room for one of those, and those people, they get to see when you're married and you've got a spouse. Those people get to see you naked. That's the person that just like, okay, you and me, baby. We're in this. We're the team. We're the pair, and outside of that, you just stick with the family example here. That's where your kids go. Okay, these are the people that have the most access to your time, energy, and resources. So much so that if you don't have that other relationship prioritized, they get submitted to the demands of these children. Your children will just eat you. You'll have nothing left for your top priority relationship, and that's how people end up in big marriage crisis with little kids. Is they just didn't protect that priority. And then outside of that is people that you would drop everything to help. Like, hey, if you got a call from him, like, I got to go help this person. They need my help. And outside of that is, I really care about you, but here's a phone number of somebody I think could help. And then outside of that. And people, so managing your others pile has everything to do with who gets access to what.
We just had this conversation with Adeline the other night at the dinner table, and you left, and I referenced a little bit of it earlier in the God section, but because her older sister has this new, very pursuing, very attentive, very important relationship in her life, which is her boyfriend. Adeline, and then they are very seriously talking about things, but Adeline is now, what is happening to me?
Yeah. I got
this.
demoted.
Totally. And so she's like, every time we're around Landon comes over. Like, you don't like Landon? I love Landon. He's great. He's really great. It's just funny listening to her because that's what she's experiencing is the change in the others category a little bit. We kind of broke down that, it's Delaney and God, and it's, Delaney and mom and dad, and then you guys are next. I said, well, now that Landon's in there,
we have a new layer.
We have a new ring. I said, and if when Lainey gets married, it'll be God and Lainey and her husband, and then all of us together hanging out in the same boat where you're not used to that circle. You're not usually in the circle where mom and dad are. But it's more is changing, and it just was interesting to explain this to her because, talking about self and others and nurturing and prioritizing relationships. They're 18 and 14. These are the conversations we have. Is Ben's telling her, you got to communicate what it is that you need and how you feel and what you're experiencing. And she's like, well, I don't feel like she's going to adjust. And Ben says, did you communicate that? She's like, well, kind of. And he's like, well, what did it sound like? And, it's this very muddled this ball of not really. And so the beauty is because they have a great relationship and this is something we practice in our home, it won't take much adjusting from Lainey or Adeline, but Adeline does have to communicate that,
Mm-hmm.
So that Delaney can protect her relationship and prioritize because Delaney's not married yet, But it is
This reminds me of a story.
Yes, okay. It's just an interesting thing that you're just explaining. I'm like, we just had this conversation of trying to explain this and trying to help Adeline see that this change in roles isn't a bad thing. It's just an adjustment that we're going to have to make as a family. And we are already adjusting to Delaney being gone. It's just the four of us. It's a very different dynamic.
It is.
And I'm realizing the age gap a bit. I didn't ever really pay attention to that until all of a sudden I'm like,
Wow.
Okay.
4 years.
4 years is a big gap, and there's a lot that's going to happen between now and the next ones that leave. So, anyways, but it's just interesting.
I remember one day I was on staff at Bethel, and my assistant said, "Brittany made an appointment with you today." Mm-hmm. I said, "What?" This is after you got married. You'd been married probably about a year or so. And you show up on my appointment. I'm thinking, well, this can only mean
one thing.
Not good.
It's not good.
This is not good. My daughter made an appointment with me. Oh gosh. So we get in there and we're sitting there and I said, "Hi, what's going on?" And immediately your eyes just well
tears.
up. You just well up.
This is just
I'm like,
how I communicate.
Okay. Oh gosh. And I think I have no idea what is going on. And you said, I just need to talk to you. I said, oh, okay. So now I'm thinking, oh, this is about me. I was hoping it was about somebody else. Okay, we've narrowed it down to me. Oh gosh. And you said, you haven't taken me on a date in over a year. And I thought, oh, honey, because you're married. Because you're married, and I'm out here now. I'm out here. I'm not even sure how. I don't even know what to do out here. I'm getting used to being out here, and you're getting used to being in there. And okay, well, let's work it out. So I think we went to lunch or something.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But it was a moment for me. That moment and the who gives this woman to this man moment had never meant anything to me in America. I don't know how many weddings I've done. And I'm like, oh, yeah, he just says, who gives this one? I never, until you are standing there and Ben starts coming at me, I'm like, put my hand up, like, you just hold on there, big buddy. We're not done over here, okay? Because I know what's happening. I'm being traded for this 19-year-old boy in your life. And I'm just like, sure you want to do this, honey? We could bail. We could run out of here right now. No. That was a real... Sure. That was a boundary shift day. Was, oh my gosh, this is it. This is real.
Yeah. It's just interesting when in your relationships, the boundaries that happen, that are meant to happen, that are beautiful, they're part of growth. And that's what we were trying to explain to Adeline, is that this is the next season, this is the next season for your sister, is that that's what she's going to pursue and want to go on. And as she discovers so many other things in her life, she's outside of us now, it's changing, but she's still very much a part of us, which means we still have to communicate and prioritize those relationships, because that, will always be us. We're just going to be adding to us, and with that we'll be adjusting to new normals. But the big thing that we kept going back to was the prioritizing the relationship and communicating it.
And the thing I love to watch or notice right now is, when Lainey leaves and goes and starts her adult life out there, and we're down to 6 now at home, and you guys are down to 4. I'm noticing new routines coming into the house.
Totally.
Like we're now, we have a little casino going over on that table over there, because you're teaching the kids. You're teaching the kids blackjack and poker and Texas Hold'em.
4 is easier than 5. Playing pool. We go play pool. I don't know, like often now.
Yeah.
And teams of 2. It's just
right. Teams of 2.
Sorry, Lainey.
Teams of 2. But there's a new segment of family behavior that Lainey won't get in on,
Totally.
you know? And then one day when Addie leaves and Lincoln's just there, there'll be that whole deal.
Totally.
But this shaping of family culture and behavior is really it happens on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Like this isn't accident. What accidentally happens is disconnection, isolation. The family starts dissolving because of the change. But you guys have shored that up. You've always had a rhythm of, games and play
Connecting,
and
yeah.
friends and movies and you sitting on the couch together watching this or that. You've always had that rhythm. But Lainey leaving disturbed the force. It really did. We're like, oh my goodness.
Well, I think Lainey's she did help prioritize connection time. Like that's just kind of how she's wired. So she would, in ways that I don't think the roles in which we all play, she would foster that and prioritize that. And I think Lincoln is also that. Addie is that too. But it's just they're all just different. So Lainey, so it's been interesting because I think we all realize there's been a shift, there's been a change. And for a moment, I think we did kind of just disperse. And then, my mom heart started panicking like, we can't do this. This is not going to work. And so I feel like I'm like all my kittens fell out of my basket and I'm trying to go and corral them back in, stay. Okay, let's come back together. So it has been fun. It is, but it's exactly that. It's prioritizing the relationship there's been change. So we've had to reflect on this last season. And, even with the travel schedule that I've been picking up with we've been reflecting on like, what's the impact there? But with Lainey leaving, there's been a big impact on a lot of different things and watching, in the beginning, Lincoln kind of was struggling, just kind of, I didn't realize how much the two of them would connect in different places, that Adeline's very much more independent than Lainey and Lincoln were. And so it's just been interesting. And we were coming into the office today because the internet's not working out of the house because we're out in the country.
Out in the sticks.
And so they're doing school online here at the office. And they were just goofing off, walking in. And Ben was like, Addie's she just does such a great job with her relationships. And I'm like, she does. She just really does. She's so intentional and she knows how to nurture them and how to adjust. And she takes a good read on what's going on. And, I think her big thing is going to have to be staying true to self in the throes of being so aware of others. But
it is interesting how, we reflect over this last year and you don't think of a child leaving being a threat, but it is, it kind of creates a wobble in the way things have always worked up until now. We could deny it and not pay attention to it, but we have a different family dynamic now.
totally.
And so we're hitting the dinner table as consistent as ever. You guys got the game night going on. We got farm activity going on. We got all the different things, but there's a difference. And I'm seeing the relationship shift between Lincoln and Addie just moving closer together. Like, okay, it's just me and you now, kid.
It's just us. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, super fun.
Yeah.
I think as we reflect over the last year, and we're back to the 3 R's. Reflect, realign, and reengage. We're starting with: is there disconnection anywhere? And then we would filter that through our priorities. We'll start with the closest one to us, and we'll just work our way out and go, where are there disconnections, and is there anything that I can do? Because not everybody on the other side has the goal of connection. So I'm going to KYLO 5 everybody because I'm a powerful person and I'm always going to foster the spirit of love. But when we get to my goal is connection, the other side doesn't necessarily ring that. So that here's an evaluation of how much energy I'll be pouring into disconnects.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep my love on. That's a bunch of energy right there with somebody that is disconnected and wants to disconnect. You're like, all right, well, I don't control that. I'll protect the communication, be respectful, draw down as much anxiety as I can, and then I'll practice and honor healthy boundaries by, if it ever gets disrespectful, if it ever gets, I'll be like, hey, maybe we can talk later, because my love light is lit. I keep my love on, but I have a zero tolerance for disrespect, abuse, all the stuff that comes when there is a disconnect. So I think if you're gathering up the KYLO 5 in your relationship with others, that's really going to be a super helpful tool. But job one is start searching around for connected, disconnected relationships around you.
Yeah, and I think the KYLO 5, I love those are the markers you're aiming for, because that will help you reflect. That'll help you realign to what's missing in some of these relationships. Even as you realign your engagement level, as okay, I've not been setting healthy boundaries, or I've not been, prioritizing connection here, and so it's a great pulse on, really all three of the R's, if we will reflect on them, as it's just helping you kind of assess. What I want and what I want to see happen. I think that that is such a great place to just measure as a tool. And I think the re-engagement part comes back to that dreaming, planning, and the pursuit of what it is that I said I want to see happen. And in my relationships, what do I want to produce? What do I want to bring, even as myself, to this relationship? How do I want to lead? For the parents, I talk a lot about that you're leaders. And so re-engaging, we talked about Delaney leaving, and there's been lots of re-engaging in our home of, okay, like, I don't know that we've ever talked so much about Thanksgiving or Christmas decor as a problem, because Delaney's not where we...
The wildest Thanksgiving ever this year. Just the wildest.
Because I'm like, well, I'm going to go where my child is, which is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah. We have a total disruption in the force.
There's just been lots of disruption. But I think the big thing I keep looking at is, okay, this is the change of season, and I can either do a poor job adjusting to it because I have no vision and because I don't know how to prioritize relationships, or I can, okay, this is what we're doing because we're just embracing the new. I think with the kids, even re-engaging them is, trying to. Lainey is a big personality when she's safe with us. She talks a lot. She's fun. She's loud. This is Lainey when it's just the five of us. So to have just the four of them, it's like, what's a new space where you get to show up, So we're kind of redefining how do we engage with them there. And so that's part of the poker night or playing pool, is that it's been funny to see our little relationships that I've known are in there, but they were hiding, or they were, a few layers back because, you got to filter through three other kids to get to your joke being on the surface. I think Ben and I are laughing at how funny Lincoln is.
Yeah.
He's always been more quiet, but with one less talking person, he's a little bit louder.
One less competitor.
So there's just this re-engaging of, okay, I want to do this well. And so I don't think our culture creed changes. That's who we are. That is, our calling as a family. But I think our assignment has adjusted a bit. And so that this is a season of reflecting, realigning, and then choosing to re-engage, I think we just have a different vision that's the current priority. And then even with Lainey, like staying engaged through FaceTime and text messages, it's a very different form of connection.
It's like she's in Australia.
Yeah, and pursuit, and celebrating and making space for all those spots, and it's all new. But I think that's with the ability to kind of do the other two things, the re-engagement doesn't feel as impossible or hard. It feels more exciting and even more confident going into what I want to see happen in those relationships.
So all the realignment comes from, we found the threats or we found the disconnections, and we have a plan. The other side of that, though, is that also what's working and why is it working and how do I keep doing that? Because again, the supply of nutrients to a relationship is what keeps it healthy. But if we start distributing things, especially unhealthy relationships where the goal isn't connection, and yet you want it to be so bad. So you keep pouring on the nourishment, and it produces nothing really. You're like, oh, okay, this is, now I'm upset all the time. Now I'm hurt all the time. Now I feel powerless in this spot in my life. And now there's almost like if you can drop a hose in the water in a mud puddle, as long as it's on a little bit, no mud gets in the hose. Just the water gets in there. But if you turn that water up too high, you're now digging a hole in the ground. You're now eroding things. So you have to keep the water on, keep your love on enough so that there's no mud coming up the hose.
Yeah.
But so there is a amount of investment. There is a keeping your love on approach to these relationships, but don't overcommit to places that are not bearing fruit because the other person's goal is distance. It's painful, but you just have to accept that you don't control that side. And then the realignment piece really is nourish those places that are working. Face the fears of the places that are disconnected that you're either avoiding or you're just neglecting, and then make adjustments as life, work, family adjusts. But if you have a good read on this last year and you just spend some time and maybe just write down some names and, put a plus or minus next to their name, like, we're good. I need to keep that going. Minus, okay, I gotta find a way to repair this disconnect, because either I don't know if their goal is connection or not, or I know it is. We're neglected right now.
Yeah.
And then there's some relationships where all you can really do is be ready, like that, like the father looking on the horizon for his son to return. That sort of scenario where the father wasn't out searching in the woods for his boy; he was watching, and he was ready. And when he saw him, boom! My heart is to connect. There's those kinds of relationships with your family, extended family, friends, whoever it might be, even coworkers.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the reflect, realign, and reengage is, again, just a tool. You don't have to use it. I think everybody approaches January differently. They approach that new year with all different ways. I mean, you and Mom have your own way. I think mine is it's really kind of we all ask each other those questions of, what's the word for the year? That's one thing that we often do. And just trying to see and cast vision. But even I love the pause of the reflecting and then the realigning, because I think so much of the re-engage in January to be successful, those other two things seem like it would help. Because if I'm not going in with gratitude and I'm not going in with hope, then I probably won't get past February. And that's not what we want for your relationship with God, with your relationship with others, and yourself. I think that we really want to see, 2024 be a year where there's so much fruit happening.
And there's a couple tools. You guys did the whole Culture Creed series in the Life Academy, where if families are wanting to really either reinforce what they've already done with what they have written down, get everybody around the table and or around wherever it's hanging in your house, and go, let's talk about this. Let's re-engage in what we said was so important. Or you could go through the Family Creed development in that course and do the process, and that would help get the right questions out on the table and end up with a target to year after year realign to.
Yeah.
Or get together with friends. I mean, I don't know, all the way back to the Yates house. I remember sitting around a table with groups of people doing it different every single year. It was like a different, how are you going to get to
You found a good rhythm with the Hassans.
I do.
Yeah,
we
guys have a
we
new
do
rhythm.
love, for years now, we've just spent times with our dear friends, Bob and Lauren Hassan, and we come up with a word, and it's a process, but it's very much reflection. There's a whole take a look around, and then we spend a day, and we write all this stuff down, and then that dinner that night we all share the word that we have, and catalytic multiplier, reset and run. That was Mom's. Lauren had creative, and Bob's was. I have to look, but it was something that invited him to ask for help. So I think it might have been the V word. I don't know.
Vulnerability.
It might have been. I can't remember. We joked about it so hard. I can't remember which word he actually landed on. But we have this before us as we go through the year, and we know each other's, and we keep bringing it up. And so, whatever the process is, get one, and bolster the strength of your relationship with others, especially your family, because whole healthy families are going to save the world.
Yep.
And if the world ever needed some saving,
it's right now.
It's now.
Beautiful. Well, thanks for joining us on the KYLO Show. We are so excited to be a part of your 2024 beginning, and we are praying for you that you would find just all that breakthrough, realignment, and courage for your relationship with God, yourself, and others. And we look forward to spending this year with you. We're not going anywhere, so we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Never miss an episode of The KYLO Show by subscribing to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or watch us on the Loving on Purpose YouTube channel. Don't forget to submit your questions and testimonies to thekyloshow.com. The KYLO Show is produced by Ali Armerding, co-produced by Ashley Beck and Anna Hill, and show promoter Christian Zamora. Don't forget, whole healthy families are going to save the world.